So, yes, CERT-UK, I've been in post 4 months now. CERT-UK, the process started, as said, a couple of years ago, really kicked off about a year ago with various work streams through Whitehall while it was decided precisely what CERT-UK was going to do. So, he says, that one. Right. So, the ambition. The ambition is to build on a bunch of very successful pieces that already existed within government. So we are going to, if I take the first bit, we'll be a key component of that national security strategy. Francis Maude and the government are very keen on moving everything to cyber. We all think I personally think that's the way to go because it gives all sorts of benefits. But if you're going to do that, you need to have an efficient method of making sure that works properly, stays up properly. So we're the sort of part of the support piece for the whole digital government agenda. We built on learning from the Olympics. There were a number of cases that came up during the Olympics, some are public, that sort of demonstrated the need for a more joined-up CERT-type team. There was an OCT, there was a coordination centre set up with business and with government and with cyber, but it was a one-off type thing. It was very good, but it was recognised we should take this forward. We will be a single point of contact for international focus. A lot of cyber stuff now is dealt CERT to CERT. Government CERTs in one country want to talk to a CERT in another country. There was no natural CERT location to talk to. There were various individual CERTs, and there are people in this audience who've have spent much of their time within government working those, but they'd not become that very upward, publicly facing CERT that other countries were looking for. Obviously, we want to improve coordination and launching formally a week Monday. So while this is actually the first time I've stood up as a CERT-UK person in the UK to talk, so this is for me, quite a special moment. The vision. We want to be a leader, we want to complement and build on capabilities, we want to talk to the international community, and we want to help the UK become more resilient. There's that whole UK PLC, building resilience, building support. So, the constituency of CERT, these are sort of the interesting pieces from my mind. We will serve the public. We are very focused on the public sector, the industry and academia. We're not so focused on the citizen. That's not really our remit right now. We will have a very public-facing website, so that'll be pretty much a first, where we will be pushing out advice. We will push out pointers to Get Safe Online, to city street campaigns, to the action fraud and all the other areas that can assist the citizen, but that's not our remit. Our remit is very much public sector, industry and academia. Focal point for national CERTs, as said, absolutely. We see there are more and more exercises going on between national CERTs to build on international cooperation. There was no natural place in the UK for them to come. So stuff like that will be very high on our list. The last piece, which is the piece Mr. Judy talked about, CSOC, CERT-UK and CISP. So CSOC existed in Cheltenham and looked after national incident management. So if there was a truly crisis situation, that's when they jumped into action. CERT looked after the CP&I piece of the picture. So looking after critical national infrastructure CERT, giving those companies advice and warnings and information. And CISP is the Cyber Information Support Sharing Partnership, he says, getting it right. So those three all existed. Government doing a good job, but in completely separate places, in completely separate departments, and not really, while talking, not talking in the way that you talk when you're all stuck in one big room and you talk over coffee and stuff. There were lots of conversations, lots of emails, but not the collaboration, the coordination that we felt would really, take this the next step up. So all three of those groups now work for me. They were all in the same building. In fact, right now, we're all on the same floor of the same building. And we've pushed those two areas very close together. So they all talk, they build on each other's information and awareness. That works both from the incident handling side and from the information sharing side. And we'll go on to those in more detail. Right, so the 4 things at the top. Those are the 4 things that sat on my job description and my annual appraisal. So, national cyber incident management, exercises and planning. So that's running or coordinating national cyber incident. And a cyber incident very much follows the government ConOps. If the entire banking sector gets hit, we would be called into action. It's got to be a big incident. Frankly, we are not that interested in if one company has a problem. We are not here to do Citibank's incident response or Barclays or National Grid's. It's viewed as that's their cost of doing business. They should have a plan, they should have a team, they should have a process, they should do that themselves. But when that becomes too much, if it is nation state, if it is collaboration across an entire sector, that's where we come in and add value by doing the whole collaboration, coordination. We can bring government to bear, we can bring government, assistance to help them out. Cyber incident handling for the CNI, well, as said, that was in a separate group. Well, surely those two are the same thing, realistically. And if you're doing one, a national incident is just an escalation of the other. So again, bringing those two teams together and having them in one place just makes sense to us. Situational awareness. This is where we see the bread and butter and much of what we'll do. The other two are fairly focused, very much, if we'll be helping specific areas and specific sectors, but situational awareness is something we really, really want to big up. Right now, coming out of industry, if I was to speak frankly, I would say we would tell government lots of things and eventually something might come back, but it was probably a bit later than we'd like and it wasn't possibly as helpful as we'd like it to be. We really want to change that paradigm and we really want businesses to engage with us to do that. So we're using the CISP platform, CISP, Cyber Information Sharing Partnership, absolutely allows business to talk to business. It's essentially a Facebook for incident response, and there's another slide on that. So that's hugely important to what we're doing. International point of contact we've talked about. And underlying that, we have 5 sections. So we have incident handling and situational awareness. Those two teams, there are 2 teams. There are 2 managers of those teams, but realistically, those 2 teams are joined at the hip. Because to my mind, anything that someone's dealing with incident handling should be in the situational awareness piece and vice versa. So while they're separate and they have managers to make sure that they're getting their product, for want of a better word, out to the rest of the team itself is almost one big team. It's not really separate in the way that it looks there. Then we have the communications. I have a colleague sitting at the back who will doubtless try and lower himself at this moment, who is my comms guy. We very much want to be talking to businesses. We want to be pushing stuff out. We want to be making sure businesses are aware of what's going on. We want to use the CISP to do that, but we will also be doing more public stuff. We will be doing stuff to ministers and senior management and CEO types as well. There's a huge push to use all this information that we're garnering and gathering and pushing it out and getting it out there in a useful, action and timely manner that you guys in business can actually solve problems with. UK engagement, this is where we talk about exercising and the national plan. Now, there is a plan. I was at City, I was reasonably senior in City, but I'd never seen the plan. That sort of strikes me as a bit crazy because come the moment that plan leaps into action, it would be quite useful that I'd seen it or at least was aware of it so that I could say, yeah, I know where I fit and what my responsibilities are. Finance has done some of that with the Waking Shark, but not as much as we like. And certainly I don't think the other sectors have done anywhere near as much as we like. So we really want to be pushing out exercises with the national infrastructure to make sure that we both understand how this all works and that if there is an incident, they know how to get in touch with us, we know how to get in touch with them and how it will all play out. And then the international engagement, which is liaising with groups such as the European Government CERTs Forum, the Forum of Incident Response and Security Teams, and all the other CERTs around the world. So that person gets to travel some. Down the side, you'll see who we liaise with. So industry CERTs, absolutely. Banks, electricity, grid, power, retail. We want to be talking to all of the CERTs in the UK. We will talk to GovCert. Now, we are not an operational CERT. We don't have kit that we are responsible for defending, other than the very limited laptop that I carry. Government incidents will be handled by GovCert. Mod incidents will be handled by Mod. We are the escalation, the coordination, the next step up piece to that. So we are not going to get bogged down in day-to-day incident handling, change this firewall, do this, do that, do forensics. That's not our role in any way. NCCU and NCA, we have liaison officers backwards and forwards into a number of these areas. Those two are very high on our list because we want to be sure that if we see crime, that the right people are dealing with it. So it's not disappearing into us and into a black hole. I think this was a criticism that came out of the Waking Shark, was that all the exercise that went on, not very many people thought about talking to the police about the fictional, obviously, incidents that were affecting them in the Waking Shark exercise, and that's not right. We need to be bringing law enforcement into that. CP&I, we will host the CP&I cyber piece, but the protective piece where the advisors who go out and talk to customers, will stay with CP&I. PSN SOC, Public Sector Network, absolutely, that will remain as a SOC, that will remain as its own team, again, escalating to us. UK CERTs Forum, NKIC over in the US, ENISA in Europe, As said, international forums, EGC and FIRST, and then we have the CISP at the bottom. Absolutely, all these people we will be liaising with, we would encourage people to liaise with us. Absolutely, that's part of the UK engagement piece. Sorry, he was asking about the information exchanges within CP&I. In fact, some of the teams who worked those are now over with us. So yes, we absolutely see that, i.e. relationship back to that critical national infrastructure piece there as fundamental to what we're doing. I've already spoken at a couple of them. Some of my team will be going over to talk to those people, definitely. So, what does it mean for you? Partnership, 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 partnership. We really want to build that partnership piece. This is not us telling you what to do. I hope it's not you telling me what to do. This is us both working out what's the best way of doing this, the right way and moving forward. But my big thing is to push that effective and timely intelligence via CISP, because that's what I think most of industry is looking for, is that kind of information backwards and forwards and assistance in what you can fix and what's wrong in your area. We will look at that, and although within CISP there are rooms, you can have your own piece where you can just chat with your own sector or region or however you want to set it up. We see all of that, and we can use that to pull and aggregate information. We can see stuff going on in this sector. Maybe that sector needs to be involved and needs to do something. So we will be using that to produce reports and analysis, plus pushing out information from our partners, such as NKIC in the US, such as some of the government agencies where we can push stuff out through there. So that's where we really see the main interfaces through that CISP. CISP's components, and you'll notice it's branded slightly differently. We're keeping the CISP brand. The reason for that is, realistically, my remit as CERT-UK is critical national infrastructure stuff. CISP has a remit that essentially covers any UK-based company. Any UK-based company can join CISP and become part of that information sharing partnership. And information sharing, I think, is a different is part of, but not the same as incident response. So we are keeping this slightly separate, and we are actually having a sort of an advisory board for CISP, which is separate to the advisory board to the CERT piece. So it's a secure collaboration environment. It's sort of Facebook for information security, but secure. We facilitate this. So the government set it up, but it's free to join. Anyone can join as long as they can show sort of a UK nexus, UK company, or someone with UK assets. And they can then join and choose who they want to, they can join rooms within that, they can share generally, they can share privately. It's a very flexible environment. We, as we say, can see all of it. We also have a joint industry government team who work with us on site who can also see all of it. So they can do the analysis piece. If they see something interesting, they can pick that up, look across the rest of the environment to see if there's supporting information, produce reports, push that back out through CISP. So that's where we add value to that. There is an incident handling scheme. It's essentially the red, amber, green scheme, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. So red, stays here, don't want context, and right down to green, and so on can go anywhere. And there are these technical exchanges where we bring people in-house, and we give them training sessions, and we facilitate meetings of these people to help them understand how this can benefit them, how it benefits us. But the more people who join it, the more information we'll get, the better our information will be, the more reports we can push back out, the more you'll get value from that. And the plan, the hope, the desire is that it becomes this virtuous circle, that you give us good stuff, we use that to produce better stuff, give it back to you, you see value. In many days, it's been a question of, people put stuff in, people don't get a lot back. What's in it for me? And that's, there's a public altruistic thing that says you should still do this, but if you're not getting much out of it, it can be an issue. So, really going on from what we've just said, 3 cells, there's government in there, there's industry in there, and the physical industry is the fusion cell. These are the people who turn up for 1, 2, 3 days a week, working on site as well as remotely to help do the analysis, plus the industry virtual. Alerts, advisories, we plan on doing a lot more of these daily, weekly, monthly summaries. Some of this will be available on the public website, but most of it will be caveated with if you join CISP, you'll get more. And again, so that's another reason we want to pull people into CISP and get people involved in this. Malware analysis and reporting, we're building systems where essentially you can throw a bit of malware at us, it will get pumped straight through a system, and you'll get a report back in 5 minutes that says we think it's this, but it might not be, and whatever, but give you some analysis in a very swift manner. We're not 24/7. There'll be a 24/7 call out. So in the event of a national incident or a critical issue, yes, we can come up, but there will not be someone sitting in an office 24/7. It's just not there yet. Down the line, we will see how that responds. But as we have no operational Iona network responsibility, we don't see that desire as there. A critical national incident, our judgment is many of those will rock up over time, so we will see us moving to a 24/7 if need be for specific things. I don't know how often we'd need to leap into action in the middle of the night. The facility exists, but I don't see the need to have someone there most of the time. Reading member reports, reaching the issues and adding value. It's the adding value that we absolutely need to do, because if we don't give that to you, you will walk away from us, and that's not going to work. So that's where we need to be doing good stuff, and that's certainly my vision, is absolutely pushing stuff back out to you in a manner that you can use to support your business, companies, systems, whatever. And I believe that's it. Look at that, half past. Not even a slide, an orange slide. So, done. Any questions? Yes, sir. The academia piece. Okay, we have relationships with Janet, the Joint Academic Network. We also have relationships into places like Oxford University, Sadie Crease and the thing. I plan to speak to Fred later, and I know we have a lot of ambition in that area. Right now, it's not there yet, but it will be. They are certainly members of CISP, so they add value through that already, and we push stuff back out there. Academia is always interesting because, to be fair, they tend to see more incidents than businesses, because it's an easier environment to control in a business. You can own it, it's yours, you can lock it down. In an academic network, it's anyone turns up with their laptop and you're never quite sure what's coming. So they tend to have more intelligence value that they're adding to us, rather than possibly the defend value back. But what I want to do is start working with bits of academia in sort of long-term trends and long-term tools and things. But that's an ambition and an aspiration at the moment. But it's absolutely on the list.
In the interest of time, we'll just take one more question, because there is a panel session at the end of this morning's briefs. In the front.
You mentioned your tie-up with the US. What level is that at?
It's with the NKIC right now. So Larry Zelvin, when we launch week Monday, Mr. Zelvin will be turning up to do a spiel on the wonders of UK-US relationships. So we spent 2 days over there last week being walked through their systems and their processes and so on. Very, very good, very close. We're very close with them. We will be having frequent conversations.